Mr. Nate, welcome back again, even though you never left. Today, I have a unique question, and you have been listening to my brain now for a couple of hours. So I don't want to go too far and say, I want to build my own bike, but I want to build my own bike, okay? So today's episode, what I want to talk about is if you could build a perfect E-moto in your mind or in real life, whichever, What would you do and why? That's the premise, and I'm sure it's going to go down several rabbit holes. Before we get started, we will leave links, discount codes, all that stuff in the show notes or in the description of the YouTube, wherever you're at. That's where you can find this. And more importantly than any of that, your comments on this are so important because we've had this conversation now back and forth in between, and we think we know what we would do. I know what I think I would do. Yep. But you may be able to give me some realistic idea of why that may not be a good idea. Yep. But for anybody else who's watching or listening, your input's important because I would love to know what it is that you think would be perfect. If you could build the perfect E-moto, what would it be? So obviously, when we were having our conversation, I'm thinking if I were to go and build an electric motorcycle, and I went to China and I was there and I'm at the factory and this factory could do it all. First thing I would start with would be the sizes. Okay. For whatever reason, there is no competition for the Ultra B. I don't know if there ever will be. Maybe they just have that thing so dialed that you just can't compete. I don't know. Or maybe nobody wants.
Well, there are people kind of trying.
Yeah, but I'm talking like the Chinese brands.
But I mean like the Throne, like.
Yeah.
See, but like.
That's not
even that you're like it doesn't actually compete.
No, that's like competing against the Stark at 200. That bike's what I
say.
But
there's a smaller one too, right? That's more like mid-size.
Yeah, the Serpent.
Yeah. So I mean, like it seems like a few people are kind of doing it,
right?
And really, the only way you can actually compete is you have to have a bike that's just as good for the same amount of money.
Or if it is more money,
it has to be totally worth it.
It has to be totally worth it, right?
Yeah.
So
honestly, the dust might be worth it
it might be.
If like you have 10K to drop on a bike. I think dust is going to be like fit and finish, all of the stuff, serious suspension. I mean, at the end of the day, like the money that you would put into an Ultra B to make it as good as the dust would cost you 10K. So like, maybe just like get the dust and call it a day.
Right. And I think one of the questions that I was asking is, do people just like to tinker? Right? Like for me, I like to build the bikes to my spec and what I like. And I know that no bike comes with exactly how I want it set up. And I'm fine with that. Right? I enjoy the process.
Yep.
But I also have the luxury of doing that across multiple brands, multiple platforms, multiple sizes. And not everybody has that. So now at this point of doing that, I have seen a lot of inefficiencies and just things that aren't good. Yep. The last Arctic Leopard podcast, there were a lot of things that could be better on that bike.
Yep.
And they're really small changes. But if you were to build a bike, in my opinion, you would need 3, right? So if you were to build a product line and you were to build your electric motorcycle, you would have to have 3 bikes because you would need to compete in 3 markets. That's my opinion.
Yep. You can start somewhere though. Honestly, I feel like you don't need to try to compete in the full-size market.
No.
Because I honestly think that like Stark is already doing really well in there, and I think Honda and Yamaha and all these brands are just about to crush you anyway. And if it costs you, if you're not making a bike that's less than 10K, it's kind of like...
So then how do you compete in that market, right? So how do you compete directly with the Sur-Ron Ultra B? If you were to build a mid-sized bike, how do you make it better? Because I think that's... Now granted, the 2025 you were just on, suspension's better, feels better anyways, power feels better, sounds better, same bars, same frame.
Let's just maybe start with that. Like we both think the Ultra B is a really solid mid-sized bike.
Right.
Price point, value.
Everything.
I mean, the value's ridiculous.
Right.
What would you like to see in the Ultra B that you don't see currently?
I think, and this goes across all of the bikes, what I would like to see from a manufacturer, and if I were to go to China and start building my own bikes, what I would do is I would give the people options to keep them out of the aftermarket, because I believe more problems more often than not, when you start changing the components, controllers, motors, batteries, all of that stuff that's an integral part of the motorcycle. And the reason the motorcycle was built with those parts is because it performs well with those parts. I'm not saying don't change the stuff, but I'm just saying once you start doing that, more people have problems when they're modifying their bike than the people that don't modify their bike.
Sure. Yeah.
Plain and simple. So what do you give people the opportunity to do? And the conversation we were just having is this would be about across all 3 bike platforms. I would compete in 3 markets. Not at first, but this would be the concept and the vision, the long range goal would be to have your mid-size Ultra B competitor, your small size all the other competitors like the regular E-motos that people are used to, and then your mini competitor. Okay. Now, if you have that, this is something that RTR is doing right now, and that's why I brought this up. If I were to build it, I would give people options right out of the box. What do you want? Right? What do people want? What tire size is preferable? And when they bought the bike, they would go to the website, and regardless of the bike that they want, mid-size, medium size, or small size, they would be presented with options. So the retail price of the bike, let's call it, would be $5,500. That is your chassis, your motor, your chain, all the things that make a bike go. It would not be wheels. It would not be motor. That would be like an option.
Well, you at least need to have like the base.
There would be a base for sure.
Would that be part of the base then? Like the 5,500?
No, like a base product would be like there would be no technical base product.
What's the cheapest rolling product, fully working product?
Oh, geez.
Because I feel like take it from like if you order I use the MacBook Pro kind of example because that's like what I've done with this.
Yeah.
If like the base level it costs this much, it's like, ooh, it's $12.99. That's not that much. And then you realize like, okay, more. You know what I mean?
That's
kind of the concept, right? So I mean, 100%. What's like
you make it a boutique style. You make the site look like Apple. You take that whole model, right?
I mean, Stark kind of has that in a way too.
But they don't have any. Where I think Stark, I don't want to say they've met. I don't think Stark cares about any of this. I don't think Stark wants to compete in anything else. They want to do this one thing and be the absolute best at this one thing before they entertain anything else, which I totally respect.
Yeah.
But you could very easily, you go to whatever.com and you have the option. Which bike do you want? Do you want full, mid, mini? Okay. You click that, there's a base price. Now that base price does not come with wheels, it does not come with tires, and it does not come with the motor, okay? Yep. And it does not come with the battery. So let's just say that base price is $3,500, removing those components, right? The next thing you decide, you pick is what motor size do you want? Do you want, and obviously that would be predicated on which bike you're choosing.
I know, I feel like you have to start it at the price of like the cheapest option though. Cheapest wheels, cheapest motor, cheapest battery. Because then they see like starting at this. Because if you say starting at $3,500, but it doesn't have any wheels on it, it's like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But I know, but the point is, that's the point. That's the point. I don't want to sell you. If you want a starter bike and you want to buy that bike,
I understand.
Go buy it from somebody else.
Or if you want to like put KKE wheels on.
Yeah, if you want to do all that, I'm not the guy, right?
No, but that's cool. Because like, what if you could just buy the bike? Like if I could have bought my Ultra B and just said, don't put any wheels on it.
I don't need a wheel.
Like,
I don't need an axle.
I don't want to pay for the wheels. I don't want to pay for your tires. I don't want to pay
for that, whatever. But you would have to choose a battery and stuff because it all works on a system.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because do you know how much I sold my stock Ultra B wheels and tires for?
I don't want to know because it'll make me sick because I never tried to sell mine.
$75. Just gave them away.
Yeah.
I think I sold them to a guy who like thought they would fit on his bike and they probably didn't.
Yeah.
But like I sold them so inexpensively that it was like,
yeah,
I just want to get rid of them because I
don't want them taking up space.
I saw, I don't have any room. You have like sheds and garages and stuff. I don't have any of that, right?
It's all filled with motorcycles.
I know, it's cool, but it's like, yeah, it's tricky, man. And I think,
so
I just don't like having waste. I don't like what you said. I think a lot of people do like tinkering, and I like tinkering, and I like putting stuff together too. But what I don't like is I don't like having a bunch of like stock parts that no one wants.
Right. Well,
it just seems so wasteful.
I feel wasteful because I know the 2025, every single, I have a stack of wheels and tires right here that are perfectly fine and could be used by anybody.
You can just build your bike here.
Yeah, just build it right here.
You could probably just build a bike out of all the stuff.
Yeah, just start taking shit off everything.
Yeah.
But I think I don't want to be, if I were to do this and I were to take this project on, I would not want to be the guy who's building you don't come to me if you just want a bike. If you just want a bike and you're like, hey, this bike is great, go buy that bike from somebody else.
Yep.
You would start, which bike do you want? You would choose your bike. And let's just say it starts at $3,500 for the midsize or the bigger, the larger one, Ultra B competitor. All right, now you got your bike. Your frame comes with that, all of that. Now, what size battery do you want? Because we know that we can get up to 80 amp hour batteries in the Ultra B. Yep. Now, there has to be a limit to the moving pieces in this. Otherwise, production and manufacturing is impossible. So I understand that some of this may be a long shot. However, I believe that it's possible to a degree. So what battery size do you want? Okay, your base price is $3,500. If you want a 40 amp hour battery because you don't really plan on ripping too hard, you want to save some cash and get a different battery later, cool. Do you want an 80 amp hour battery? That's going to be dictated in the price, right? So now maybe this is going to balloon in price really quick. So I haven't really thought this through. I just want to be clear. Like I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah.
But whatever that base price is, now you picked your battery. All right. Now drivetrain. What do you want? Do you want 20 kilowatts of 15, 20, or 25 kilowatts of peak power? Which one do you want? Each one has an associated cost. You pick the one that you want. Boom, done.
Yeah, your costs on this product though are going to be up because you're doing all this custom type stuff.
For sure, 100%. And again, I don't want to service the customer who wants a Talaria XXX. That's not my market. I don't want that.
Yeah.
If you want a Talaria XXX because you have $2,800 and that's what you're trying to spend, then that's the person you buy from, right?
For sure. I'm just thinking of it from the point of view of like, if there was something like this for the Ultra B, because that's what I'm interested in, like what would I have liked to see? Because now it comes with an 18 rear. I would love, like I don't think you need a different rear than that. Like you can make it work with whatever configuration you want, but it'd be sweet to like on the website be like, cool, I want a 21 front. It matches the 18 rear. Maybe the KKE wheels are probably like better wheels, but it'd be nice to have it just out of the box.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I could like upgrade that one thing and then upgrade, if I had 2 battery options on that bike and I could go from the 55 up to an 80 and it would be this much more. Because what happens with these bikes is that if you buy one and if you use it at all, now you're selling used battery. And
which nobody trusts that you're like, even if it, let's say there's been 10 cycles.
Yep.
Even if you say that, people are hesitant because you can't, there's no way for you to tell.
Yeah. I think you can go into the app on them though, if you want to. Like, yeah. I took the word of the guy who I got mine from.
Right. And most people, like, you can tell if they're shady.
For sure. This guy was legit. He just wanted to get rid of it because he upgraded to a bigger battery and a controller. And he was like, I'm just trying to like recover my price.
Money. Yeah.
But yeah, man, it would be so nice to just have that choice because like, I do think that with this bike in particular, like I like that you could start at 55. I don't think I would go below that on this bike, but it would be really nice to buy like the 80 and a lid, and that would just be like an extra $1,000. So if that's all it was, because like if you go out and buy it otherwise, I mean, it's just going to be a hassle and you're going to have to sell stuff, and like selling a battery is a little tricky. It's really heavy. For me, the reason I have a bunch of shit laying in this corner is not, I have more space than you do. So like I can just hide stuff places, but it's just a pain, like putting that on Marketplace and then arguing with someone. I should have sent, I meant to send this. There's like this YouTube video of these two dudes, and it's like if Facebook Marketplace was a real place. And did you see that? Yeah,
and
they just like walk up.
Yeah, they walk up like, is this available? And they're like, yeah, they walk away. Like that for $50 or what? I don't even feel like, I would rather just sit there because I don't want to deal with that. But like if I had limited space, it'd be different. So back to it, right? So okay, now you have and maybe it's just 2 options for battery, right? And again, people, please comment on this stuff because I'm so curious if this is more of like a market test style thing. Like I'm interested if people would be interested in this. I think
you don't need that many options. I think if you have a really solid power, I mean, realistically, why not just put the same kind of like motor and controller in it? You know what I mean? I don't think, because you can like alter that power. Like, is it really that much of a price difference to go from like a motor that can put out this much versus this much?
No. And I think realistically, like, and this is like behind the scenes business stuff, but I think quite honestly, you know, this sounds shady as hell, but I'm just going to say it, like, it might be the same motor, right? Because at the end of the day, it's just a software thing where we can change the software and we could say, maybe it's not motor, maybe it's what power pack do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want a 25 kilowatt power pack? That's going to cost a little bit more money. You're charging money for something. It's a thing that you're getting. It's not necessarily tangible, but you want more power.
Yep.
And I know a lot of people think and also you got to remember, human beings are designed to compete somehow and have the best shit. So especially guys, like I'm still that guy to a degree sometimes. Like, come on. Yeah. Like but like, especially in like the overlanding, like van life world, right? Like they got these fucking vans that can go through a goddamn apocalypse, but they go to campgrounds. But when they're driving down the street, like these people are like, holy shit, he's ready for whatever. But they literally are at a campground plugged into shore power and they got 6,000 watts of solar on their roof. And, but that's the world, right? And especially in America, consumerism is real. So as a business owner, you want to take advantage of that to some degree. All right.
Yeah. Do you like believe in that though? Like, do you want to contribute to like more waste in the world?
Well, you can.
That's like an ethical thing for me that maybe you don't care about as much because I know you're already in the business of like selling parts.
Yeah.
But I think about that. I think about like my footprint when it comes to all this stuff.
Well, I believe that you can do it with less waste. That's the fucking point.
That's kind of what you're arguing here. Is that like you can just give people what they want in the beginning?
You can pick exactly what you want from the beginning. Listen, EBMX race motors, Suron motors, Ventus motors. All these motors are very similar.
Yep.
They're put together in a very similar fashion. They have very similar components. None of them are really better than another, right? So if I have the opportunity to give you exactly what you want, like, do you want to have 25 kilowatts or are you cool with 20? Because that's going to change it. And maybe it is a different motor. I don't really know. I'm just bullshitting here.
I think it'd be awesome just to like have motor controller always the same.
Yeah.
And then like really
from a logistics and manufacturing standpoint.
Because all you're changing then are things that are really easy to swap. Wheels and tires are easy to change. And like batteries are literally just like lid, drop it in, wire it up. Like that would be really easy from someone who's like selling it. And also say if like someone had that on the showroom floor, it's like, well, I really want to get this one today, but it doesn't have the stuff that I want on it. Maybe there's some kind of deal with dealers, where it's like, cool, well, we're going to like just order these wheels and tires, or they could order it on their own. It's like, it's not the custom deal, but.
And I think that's the next question. Do you go dealer network or do you go direct to consumer?
Maybe just direct.
Yeah, like I think I'm doing direct to consumer. I'm not dealing with a dealer network. I'm not trying to give everybody margin. I'm not trying to manage all that process.
Give them a better deal and go direct to them.
100% just go to the customer.
Yeah, it takes time though. I mean, if this stuff's shipping from China.
Yeah, you would have to have everything in order. But let's get through this next part because we keep getting hung up. Right. I want to go to your bike is base. What wheel size do you want? Do you want 1821 because you ride enduro? Do you want 1921 because you ride an MX track? Or do you want a 1919? You don't really care, right?
Yep.
That would be like the cheapest option. Okay, 1919 with regular. Now
or 1819
or 1819.
Yeah. Maybe. Do you
probably
think
1819 just because you already have the 18s and you'd want to cross utilize those.
Yep.
So then you go to tires. How do you ride? Right? I got a text message from a guy today who bought a 3.0 and he was like, "Hey man, is there any way you can find me some dirt tires to go on this thing?"
Yep.
Right? That bike is geared.
This is basically like doing what Stark does.
Yeah.
In a Chinese mid-size and lower market.
But giving people way more control over their build from the beginning.
Yep.
And maybe it's a little bit slower of a process to get your bike. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm literally don't know shit
about this.
Could have
all the stuff ready. I mean, if all it is in the final steps is like different battery, different wheels and tires.
Yeah.
That could be like a really quick, like swap it out, put it in the box.
Well, like exactly. And like your bike comes with all of the components individually wrapped.
Yep.
Maybe from a shipping perspective, the frame and all that comes, and then your battery and your other stuff comes separate.
True.
So you're shipping two separate pieces.
Like the crate could be ready and all you're doing is like just dropping the wheel and tire combos.
Just throwing it in a box or grabbing the combo set off the shelf. I don't know. So now you have that controllability. Do you want off-road tires or on-road tires? Do you want a Shinko? Do you want a dual sport? Do you want an MX? Whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, yep.
So that's, again, you're eliminating waste.
Yep.
You're eliminating wasting time and wasted money because that person no longer has to go and do this.
Yeah, you don't have to go through the process of like buying the bike that you need to upgrade in
or
so many different
parts.
ways.
Like the one thing about the electric motorcycle world that I think is a little bit different than the gas bike world, not for everybody, most of the electric world, they have less overall experience with motorcycles in general.
Yep.
Okay. There's a larger portion of that market that has less experience. So you're getting like the guy today, like he's like, excuse me, is there anywhere I can go to get these tires? I'm like, well, yeah. It's like, for me, it's like, yeah, it's not that hard. We just got to figure out what size do you want? You know, like, what are you looking to do? What type of riding do you like to do? And that's what this eliminates, because this guy no longer has to go buy. Well, he's going to buy the tires at 60, 70, 80 bucks a piece. Then he's going to pay a shop to put the new tires on. The shop's going to upsell him on better tubes, and they're going to give him, you know what I mean? So by the end of it, he has just bought a brand new bike for $5,800, and he's probably going to walk out of the dealership at another $500.
Yep.
So now he's into it for $6,200, $6,300, and he has a set of tires that he probably just gave to that shop who ended up throwing them away.
Yeah. It'd be nice just to like have just the best options for each range.
So then you have that. Okay. So there's that. Now you got your tire choice and your wheel size choice.
Yep.
You limit that to a degree. You have your power, then you go to your battery. What is the sweet spot there, right? Is the sweet spot, now we're going to talk about the bigger bike right now. Is the sweet spot a 55 or 60 amp hour battery? That's my daughter trying to bang through the gate. Is it all the way up to 80? I think there's a lot of use cases for you and me.
Yeah.
I would absolutely pay more money to have an 80, right? Like,
yeah,
I would have an 80 amp hour battery.
I think for a lot of trail people, that would be ideal. We might want to stop her.
Hey, Remy. No, all right.
She said, let me in. I'll be quiet.
All right. This isn't going to go well,
Yeah,
but
we'll
I'm going to
pause.
try it anyways.
All right, Remy, you got to be totally silent,
You
okay?
got to be totally quiet.
Can you sit down and be totally quiet? Can't say anything. Can't tap on anything. Here, sit back there.
You can
okay?
sit right there and you can draw. You can sit right there if you want, but don't touch the camera. You see those legs beside you? Look,
Yeah, maybe you scoot her back a little.
look. Scoot back. This is dangerous. Right there. Perfect.
Remy.
Watch your face on that foot peg. See that? There you go. Atta girl. Are you good?
Let's see
All
how
right.
it sounds.
So, battery, right? We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, we'll find out.
It's okay. Life is life, you know? Can't do it all. But what is for a full-size bike? What choice are you making? Right? What choice are you offering?
Yep.
Are you offering smaller, like down to a 40 to save people some money?
I don't believe in that.
I don't think
Do
so
you?
either.
I think it's a waste. I think it's like, I just think that like people shouldn't have something that gives them less than like 25 miles of range.
I agree. What you got to remember though is some people just can't afford it. And
Yeah, then maybe just like wait to buy your bike.
no, I agree. I agree with that too.
Because then it doesn't like fit in the philosophy.
Well,
of
you
like,
could drop down and like you could go from now. Say we're building a mid-size on the website right now, and then you drop down to the small size, not the mini, but the
Sure,
small.
sure. I think
so.
that-
Now you can fall into a category. You're like, okay,
if you don't have the money, then I think like you're gonna have fun on a small bike.
Yeah.
Like just get a small bike if it's the money thing. But I honestly, I believe in like a 2 battery option. Honestly,
really?
I do. Yeah, I think honestly, like what's the size that comes in the new Ultra B? 60? 60 amp
60 amp hour. Yeah.
Honestly, like that size and an 80. I think those are really good options. You have like the little bit lighter weight option, but
Yep.
still gets a lot done.
Yep.
The 80s for the people who really want to like put in long days and miles and they'll like accept the weight penalty.
Right.
Honestly, I think I would actually, I like having a lot of range, but after I've done it now with like 2 smaller batteries,
Right.
I think I'd probably do like 2 smaller ones rather than one massive one.
And
for
do you
certain
give,
scenarios?
from a like marketing and sales perspective, do you add that as an option? Hey, upgrade now to an additional X size battery, like a number 2 battery.
Yep.
And save 25%.
That would be cool to like toss it in the box.
Yeah.
Just
like
have,
and
like,
say, hey, like
have a second battery.
if
ready
you
to
buy
go.
this later, like you're
Yeah.
gonna have to pay full price. But
And
if you wanna buy
explain to
that-
people like why this would be nice. Like,
Yeah,
hey, are
yeah.
you going to motocross tracks?
Yeah.
Are you doing like multi-day trips? Like
Right.
this would be awesome for
Right.
that. I think there are
there's room for both.
2. I think those are my 2 options that
Okay.
I think about. What about you? Like, do you?
No, I think that's perfect. I think a 60 on a bigger bike. But the question would be is now I'm thinking, down the rabbit hole of the bike beneath it, that 60 amp hour battery also has to fit the small bike. So that 60 amp hour now can be the large battery for the mid-size bike.
Yes.
So that way you don't have to carry 20 different batteries. So you have
now is the footprint of that too big though? Do you think like the size of like an Ultra B battery?
Well, think about the Arctic Leopard. It has a 55 amp hour battery. So maybe that's the number.
But it's like a different shape, right?
I think it's a different shape than the Ultra B. It's slightly taller, more narrow, but not by much.
Yeah, I feel like you could
make it work.
You could totally make that work. So then you're thinking that like, then there's a smaller option slightly of that.
Yep. So then
how do you go smaller though, and like have it be held in its like container properly? Is it just fewer cells, or like what do you envision with that?
Well, yeah, I think
it's a form factor thing.
Well, I think it would be kind of contrary to what most people do. Like when you're building the smaller battery for the middle size bike, that small battery would have some unused space in there, essentially.
For the mid-size bike. Oh, I mean, so for the mid-size bike, like the small battery, let's say like how the Ultra B comes stock, that's like ideal shape. The larger battery requires a bigger lid.
That's the only thing you're changing on the big bike.
And then when you go down to the mid-size bike, then the small battery, down to the small size bike, the mid-size bike, small battery, then would have a lid on the small bike, do you think?
No, so I think you would make the bike fit. You would build the bike around the small battery for the large bike. And then whatever you had to use as your small option there would probably have to be built in a form factor that's actually larger with maybe like, I'm sure there's a way to manufacture basically foam in there. It would be the same size. It would just be lighter, you know?
I get it, yeah.
So now it's all secure, but it still fits the same.
Keep it down low and you have like a little foam insert or something like that.
Yeah, or like maybe it's on the inside where the cells are, it's all insulated.
Yep.
And that way it doesn't move around in there and it's the same exact size.
Yep.
So now you have that.
It's also cool. Imagine like, people who would have two bikes. You might have a small, you might have a mid, and they share the same battery.
100%.
That'd be cool. It's like you have two batteries. Well, if you just want to take
think
this one
about what that does for a father-son combo.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and those are the things that people don't think about. And I know that I think about all this shit way too much.
Yep.
But for me and Co, if we're going out and for our bikes, what if Co's going out with his buddies and they're riding down at the local Sur-on track and he's like, hey, can I use your 60 amp hour battery in my bike because I'm going to be gone all day long? Sure, dude, take it, pop it in there. How much money did you just save?
Yeah. $3,000.
And how much waste is now reduced? You know what I'm saying? So like, there is a more creative and a better way for this industry to run. Nobody's done it yet.
Yeah, it would be nice if that was more of like a standard size kind of thing. Even if it's just for your own brand, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Now we have battery, we have power option. Controller is the exact same across all the bikes, depending on if it'll fit. I don't know.
And you probably have to have almost like a parental lock kind of system on some of them if that's the case.
Preach. Do you know how many bikes I sell to moms? I was on the phone this morning, no shit, with a mom. Her son bought her son a 3.0 online, has no clue what's going on. And she's like, well, is there any way to control the power? And like the harsh reality is what I had to tell her is, but it's a button that he can press.
Have to tape the switch.
No, exactly. Like, is that what you're going to do?
What's up, Remy?
Can I help you?
You want to come in and say hi to the podcast?
People? Say hi, people. Hey, but I need you to go. You can still keep sitting there and playing, but Daddy's got to finish this up, okay? We're on a hot one right now, babe. Hey, we're on a hot one. But what's your mom doing?
She looked for a while. I think she wanted Remy to come out there.
Does she know Remy's out here?
Probably not. Well, I think she does, but she probably didn't.
All right. So we got to get back to this, okay? Here we go. So where was I? I'm sweating.
Hot. I don't know. I can't remember exactly, but
okay, the mom.
Oh yeah, the mom.
You can't control it, right? So this is the next step that nobody's doing. Parental controls. So like,
so you just showed me. I can't remember the name. What's the new name of the little Sur-on?
Oh, the Hyper-B.
Okay, does that thing have controls and locks?
No,
but it has like voice.
It has a controller
so you can
that
like
you can
talk to your kid.
You can cut it. You can control the power
mode.
But
you can't like limit it. Lock it out.
Well, you can control the power mode, and you can't control the power mode from the bike.
Oh, but that kind of solves it in a way.
Kind of, right?
I mean, for the small, like the mini bike,
Yeah.
I think that's an absolute must.
For sure.
Because you're putting tiny kids on it. Like you don't want them to get in the wrong thing. But even for the small bike, that'd be cool for parents to have a lock on it.
And this is where it transcends into the app, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I give people the option from the factory with a downloadable app where you can control your throttle settings. There's a base map. You can't go above because we don't want you to blow the thing up. And then you can control all the throttle curve. You can control everything you want. And for people who really ride, they're going to respect the hell out of that.
Yeah.
And for people who don't, it doesn't care. But every controller is tunable from the app, directly Bluetooth from your phone. And it also has parental controls where you can turn it on, you can turn it down. And it's a code. Can't change anything unless you know the access code.
Yeah.
You know, like it's little things like this that would blow people away. And if this is the trajectory and we're going to keep going in this direction with these bikes, somebody has to innovate because this system would erase competition. Yep. Obviously, you have to build a really good bike. It can't just be all these fluffy things and like the bike is shit.
No, it would have to be
a good bike.
It'd have to be Sur-Ron level quality.
100%.
And pricing.
Then you have that comes with everything, right? So that is every bike comes with that out of the box. You don't need to do it.
But you can also, because you're doing it this way, you can argue the savings that people would have. So even if you come in at a slightly higher price point than like a Sur-Ron, you can argue that like this is what it would cost you to do this with that bike. But we're going to like do it for you for less because you're not going to have to go through this process of like buying stuff that you don't actually want on the bike that you're just
you don't have to install it.
Yeah.
Like, you know how many technical questions we get about people installing a controller? A lot. It's not hard. It's just, there's
but
nuances.
Also just the cost, man.
Yeah.
Like the cost of a controller is what? Like $1,100?
$1,200. Yeah.
That's a lot of money
so
on
now
top of like the cost of a normal bike for something that like...
You can do. Everybody can do it.
Yeah.
All you need is you have to pay to develop the app.
But they just don't have to do it if it comes with the bike and it's just ready to go.
Exactly. It's done for them and they can tune it. Now, so that's done. The next step, and this is probably taking it, I would say a little bit, maybe too far, but not too far. Forks and shock.
Yep.
I think you could say, do you want upgraded? Let's say, if it were me and it was my company, I would call Sierra Suspension and I would say, I don't, whatever it costs, right? This is what I want to do. We would develop two separate styles and one would be the premium and one would be the basic, essentially, without lack of better terms.
Yep.
Now you have premium option or basic option. Your basic option is a $500. It's not that it's a $500 add-on. It's that you bought a bike that has nothing on it. So in order to get suspension, it's either going to be $500 for base or $750 for premium, right? So now you have the opportunity to save yourself some money. You can do it now. You don't have to worry about it later. You have a drop crown. You got a good triple clamp. You got everything is solid. You're not getting pieces of steel as your triple clamp on all these bikes. Yep. It's all steel parts. You have an aluminum triple clamp that you choose and you can pick the suspension package.
Sure. So what would you like to see on a midsize?
Midsize being Ultra B. Midsize being Ultra B, you would have Cirrus is the best.
The base is like what's on a 25 right now?
Yeah. The base is what's on a 25 and that is good.
Is it branded Cirrus? Is like legit Cirrus then?
Obviously, as a business owner, you're going to work towards a white label deal.
Yeah.
But if their price is significantly cheaper or they're willing to cost cut to help you get it to market, but you need their sticker on the side.
Yeah.
And it's also not really bad brand name recognition.
Yeah, that sells. Because that sells more easily than like someone saying, oh, it's just Cirrus, but it doesn't have a Cirrus decal on it.
Fast Ace. I'm like, okay, so it's Chinese. Now, this is Cirrus is Taiwan, right? But they're like the way it's been developed is different.
I didn't know where it was made.
Yeah, Taiwan.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. So we're kind of getting to the point though. Like if you have this bike in the crate,
the crate,
does it have suspension on it then or not?
No.
So like the shock is kind of a drop-in kind of a deal, and the forks are not on the bike.
Well, and that may be where it's. You maybe. So
I don't know if you have good instruction videos.
Like, Sierra suspension on this instruction videos, the best
ever.
Yeah,
I feel like people could probably handle that at some level. You might even be able to pack the bike in a smaller space too.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Could be a shorter size because if you have like the swing arm just like all the way up,
and like strapped up to the bottom of the seat.
Yeah, for sure. I hope it's not like too daunting for people to.
Well, I think it would be, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's a very simple, this is the power of the system, right? Do you want this thing assembled in a box minus the front wheel and handlebars? It's $150. If you don't, and you're comfortable doing all this on your own, here's all the instructional videos. They're well done, well thought out, very easy to see. Here's the instructional videos.
Yeah. So you think just the same, like a universal crate that would, all this would go in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes sense. Like have an extra little fee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because for some people like me, I don't care. I can put it all together.
Yeah.
It's
Send
fine.
it to me. I got all the parts.
I'll save some money.
100%. It's
For sure.
$150
Yeah.
or whatever. Make it an amount of money that is like, it doesn't, people really, if you're buying a $7,000, $8,000 bike, you don't give a shit about $150, right? Really, at the end of the day.
Yeah. You
So,
probably
like,
want it to be priced a little bit higher than
yeah,
that.
that's what I mean. So it would have
you
to
want
be
to make
like,
some money on it because it's a bit of a headache to pull that thing out and like do all that.
so now you have that. And maybe that doesn't work, but you have 2 suspension setups.
Yep.
Now that's it. You're not touching anything else. We're not doing bars. We're not doing seat covers.
It's going to come with things that are good.
Color choice. Do you want our basic color or do you want a custom color? Custom colors are an extra $100. You can have red, you can have gray, you can have black, or you can have white. I'm just like spitballing here.
No. What do you think?
I think for me, I'd be like, fuck yeah.
3 colors?
Yeah.
4?
Again, then you're starting to get into the packing process. Like it becomes more of a pain in the ass.
It gets a little tough. I mean, maybe just like, could also be cool just to have like one color and then sell like a decal kit. Hey, have you seen that slate truck that's coming out?
No.
Bezos new thing?
What?
It's dope, dude.
What is it?
It's basically, imagine like a tiny little, like an S10 size pickup.
Yeah.
It's all electric and it comes in one color. It comes in gray and it's all like this DIY put together stuff. Basically everything other than like the high voltage motor stuff is all DIY. So if you want a color, they sell you a wrap kit that you're able to like put on or like have someone else put on. And everything else is like, if you want a different grill, you can mount it on. If you want it to be like an SUV, they have this
put
little
a cap on it.
Dude, they have a little package that puts like the top on the back and it puts the second row seats in it.
Price point.
$27,000. And if you get the government stuff, it's like only $20,000.
And that,
dude, there's no market for that. Like, or there is a huge market for that, but there's no one doing it. There's no one doing this like dead simple vehicle in the States. I was just in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking around like, why are these not in America? Everyone would buy them. And I think that's why, is because like we just have enough money here that people will pay for the $50,000 thing because that's their only option. But realistically, I think if there were more like $20,000 pickups around here that were simple, a ton of people would want them.
For 100%. And who'd you say is doing it?
It's called Slate.
Who's the guy behind it?
Jeff Bezos.
Duh.
Yeah.
Literally what he's doing is exactly what we're talking about for this industry. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. There are going to be some complex problems to solve. First and foremost, you got to build a good bike.
Yep.
Outside of that, like as long as you build a good bike with a positive powertrain, you give people options, you're going to be fine. But then you just give people options and you make it so when people buy a bike, they save a ton of time and a ton of money. Now, at the end of the day, what you have to remember is it doesn't matter how perfect it is. It's never going to be perfect to somebody else. You know, everybody bitches about the Stark. People are bitching about the Ultra. That's just people. They just bitch. So
I
it's
don't know,
fine.
but like, what do people complain about with the Stark?
Oh,
the phone?
Yeah, the phone. Like
the thumb control stuff.
You're gonna down a trail when you run out of battery. Like just dumb shit. Just people bitching to bitch. You know, it's not that what they're talking about is actually
valid.
Right.
The phone thing is valid to me. Like I've heard of people who like they can't go out and ride because their like firmware has to be updated.
Yeah,
it's like I don't want to do that.
No,
that's why I like how simple like my Ultra B is.
Right.
It's like I don't want to do anything that requires me to be on service to update stuff. Like it should just work, and if there is an update, you know, it shouldn't be forced.
Well, it should just push you a notification.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest complaints about Stark is that I don't have any control. If my shit's in my garage and there's an auto update that goes out, my bike's updated and people swear to God, and it could be wrong, that they change throttle sensitivities and all this stuff, and it could be.
They really don't give you that control?
No.
Why?
Now, you have the ability to not accept it, but if your phone's connected to Wi-Fi and you're in your house and your phone's connected to your bike, it's going to auto update. I'm almost positive. I could be fucking lying, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of sounds accurate based on what I was saying, like that people are
So
like
now you come outside
to do an update and
you're
they
like,
can't,
what
like,
the hell? Like, you should just have that ability to make that choice for yourself.
100%.
Like, maybe you don't want the new update. Here's what it fixes. But I think from a software perspective,
just like let me choose when I want to do it.
Yeah.
Like my MacBook's telling me to update to the new OS.
Yeah.
But I know that my Pro Tools software and my video software is not going to like that if I do that. So I don't want to do that. 100%. So I choose to not do that.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not quite the same with the bike update because they're probably doing stuff that's actually for, the betterment of like people's enjoyment with their product. But yeah, if it's something that keeps people from riding when they could have just ridden and then updated later, that's a problem.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
That's the problem. It's not like a safety
and I
thing,
think you could just eliminate that very simply, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to it doesn't have to be that way. And you could give people the option of when to do it. The bike is going to work better with the latest software always because you're constantly changing things.
Yep.
And those things are considered improvements, regardless if you agree with it or not. Overall for the bike, it's probably an improvement, whatever that is. So those are the basics, right? So that's what you do. And then you go down to the Mini, you make the Mini a couple of options. You don't need to do a ton there either. You can kind of do whatever and just give people a couple of options to make it as fast as possible or not. It's never going to be the full size bike, but maybe you have a kid, whatever. Maybe you want a 12-12 setup. Maybe you want a 10-12 or a 12-14, whatever.
Yeah. Honestly, those bikes, you could probably just be like, this is what you get.
Yeah, this is what you get. Just build a really good bike. And
do you really need street tires on a Mini?
Dude, yes. Do you know how many people ask me for the street tires on e-box?
Interesting.
Dude, yeah. These little e-box bikes are faster. So e-box has like a 7 or 8 kilowatt motor. The Hyper-B has like a 5 kilowatt motor. And I believe the Electro and Co RTR has like an 8 kilowatt motor. That's the same exact amount of power, and it's 72 volt. Yeah. So it's the same amount of power that comes in a Sur-On Light B with higher voltage.
But it's just tiny.
Yeah, it's tiny. But yes, the point is people want street tires.
Interesting, because they're just going to ride in the street.
They're just going to ride in the street. A lot of people ask about for like race events, like vehicle race events, to ride these around the pits. They just ride them around the pits.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Makes sense.
I stand corrected.
Yeah. So the point to all of this is I think there is a massive hole in the market. I don't think any Chinese company is going to step up to the plate on this, period. They're just not. Dust has already solidified where they want to be and who they want to be. Totally fine. Knowing your identity in the very beginning is what's like makes the difference, right?
And technically, Sur-On, they do sell 2 versions of the Ultra B, right? They sell a street version and a dirt version. That's it.
Yeah, I guess.
So, I mean,
it's the same exact bike with Lakers.
They have, but there's not really like, honestly, there's no like real clear, easy path to getting an Ultra B for low prices either.
No.
It's like Alibaba, cross your fingers.
Yeah.
Hope it works out.
Yeah.
That's a little tricky.
Yeah. And it's a risk.
Yeah. A lot of people just aren't into that. And there's also a middleman in that.
Yeah. 100%.
So, yeah. I mean, I think that they're, all right. I'm with you. I get it. I understand what you're saying now. I was apprehensive before, but I get it. And I understand the need in the market. And it's in alignment with how I think. I think it lowers waste, lowers cost. Man, I would have loved to avoid some of those things. And I also would have loved to now I'm at the point with my Ultra B where I really, I would benefit from having Cirrus on it.
Yeah.
And I know I would get a good deal.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, oh man, but do I really need it? Like, what am I going to do with my stock stuff? Like once I get it, do I sell that? Does anyone really even want to buy it? Or I'm literally going to throw away suspension that I was fine with? I don't know.
Well, then
it would just be nice to avoid all of that.
Well, and then the question is with the Cirrus conversation, even if you got it for a deal, or does it just make more sense to sell your Ultra B, take the money you were going to put in on Cirrus and buy the 25?
I thought about that too.
Yeah,
But do you think the 25 stock suspension is I
think it's a
step in a better direction.
It's a step above what you've been riding for a lot of miles and beat the crap out of, and still ride like a complete savage. So
I know, but I
guess that's just the conundrum.
It for sure. I don't exactly know where I'm going to land with it. I'm I don't regret getting the bike when I did because there was nothing better at the
No.
time.
And it's still a fantastic bike.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough riding the 25 though, and feeling that extra power. And it's like realistically, the only time I could use that power
Is that the
would
track?
be on the track, and I don't do that often. And the fact that I can clear a lot of things, it's just fun to have a little bit more power. But also, I realize like, I don't know, I'm going to be around for a while. I'm going to be riding quite a bit, so in a few years, that might even be a better bike.
Right.
Like, what's the 27 Ultra B going to be like?
It's probably, oh, hey, Rem. It's probably going to be epic at the end of the day. It's gonna be better. I hope it's going to be better.
Yeah.
But I think in summary here, because I am all wound up on this concept and I haven't really thought it through yet. But
I think it's cool though. I appreciated you showing me the video of
Saronster.
Yeah.
Well, that's what sparked it. I'm like, wait a minute. If it, no disrespect, but anybody can do it. Right? It's
there are people who are doing this.
It's people who are doing it, and they're doing it. I can do it. And what makes it different? What sets it apart? Like, the last question I have on this topic before we wrap up, and this is something you had mentioned earlier, where I disagree with you, but I see your point, and it is what happens when major OEMs get in this market. They're not going to do this.
I'm only thinking about the full size market for that.
Yeah.
And I also think that like, the full size market is like full size price. Yeah. It just is. I think it's just going to keep remaining around that like 11K mark.
Right.
I don't know if they can really go less than that for what they're giving you.
Right.
So I'm not so worried about them creating something that actually competes with one of these Chinese bikes because I just don't think that they're going to. I think it's always going to be more expensive. Yeah. I just think the value is going to be different.
Yeah, it will be. I think
they're gonna fight though in like the full size market.
The full size market for sure.
As long as they keep their price at the level of.
I just don't think there's any. They have to. They have the money. They can figure it out. They got the money. They'll figure it out. But I'm just curious as to like. The concept I'm presenting today is simply a concept that I know would change the industry forever, and it would absolutely crush. The problem is, am I going to take all the time necessary to manicure this process? Because it has to be clean. It has to be streamlined. It has to be very boutique Apple effect, right? You got to go online, pick your bike. It has to be very smooth, transactionally friendly. People have to have good customer service. People have to have a fucking number they can call, right?
Yeah.
Like right now with E-Ride, like you have to go through a dealer for a warranty claim. Yep. How nice, now this is hard on the manufacturer side, but how nice would it be is if these people could just call the manufacturer and say, hey, I have this issue. This is what it is. And I think the problem you run into is, well, you put this thing together. Why? You know what I mean? Like you did something wrong or like whatever. Like, so there's a little bit of an issue there on like what it could cost you to warranty items on bikes. But in short, this conversation is something I want you guys to think about. And I want you to put comments. Let's start a conversation around what it would look like, what you think you would need, what would be the perfect E-moto for you, and what are the options you would like to choose from. And when you answer that question, don't be pompous. Think it through, because not everything is possible. You have to give and you have to get. What are the items that you change on your bike right away? I know what they are for me. I know what you may probably think the same, but let's think through that question. Let's have a conversation about it, because I think that could be a game changer for this industry, and it is 100% doable. It's just a matter of if someone's going to do it.
Do you think Suron should consider doing something like this?
They'll never do it.
Why not?
They're too big.
And they just want to keep putting out the same mass-produced model.
100%. Are they losing sales? I mean, I still have to get...
what if they would like gain money because they do like the custom tech
That's
thing,
not
though?
the way the Chinese think.
Yeah, I get it. It's really too bad. It almost makes me wish that someone was just like on the China end of things and they
had an American mindset.
DIYing this, yeah. Like the people, I mean, there are people who are selling the bikes through Alibaba, right? I don't know exactly who those people are, but I mean...
Well, the people who are selling through Alibaba are getting them directly from Suron, and Suron knows that it's happening, and Suron doesn't care. They just have to push buttons.
Yeah, what do you think they're selling them for to them? What do you think the bikes are going for?
To the Alibaba sellers?
Yeah.
Maybe $4,000 for a Suron Ultra B.
Sure.
something like that, somewhere in that ballpark, probably.
Yeah.
Because there's not a huge margin, right? They're not making. I bet Saran makes $0 per transaction. They actually sell less than what it takes for them to produce it, but they get subsidized by the Chinese government, so it's all good. And then I think you have your resellers who are getting it for $4.42, selling it for $47 to $5.51, somewhere in there. And then that gets to the States, and then that person is taking that $5,000 bike and selling. So every step in the process is between a $700 and a $1,000 margin. I think that's the way that's working.
Yeah, I just wish, I wish that was an option though. I wish that even if it was just like the mid-size option.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I just, you have to start with one to prove the concept.
It would just be
make
awesome
it work.
if they would do that. If they would do it that way. Cause I think the dealer thing pisses me off. I just
well, it's also kind of like bullshit.
And I just don't want to like pay the dealer fees and tax on something that I could literally just like get from China and put together myself.
100%.
I just think that that's a backwards way of wanting to buy one of these bikes. And personally, I would never buy it from an actual dealer.
No, I mean, I did. I went out to California recently with my own money,
And you paid a premium?
No, I was just transparent with them. I said, listen, dude, I know what this is what I do.
Yep. I know what you're paying.
So I know what you're paying. These dealer fees are bullshit. I'm coming from out of state. I know you don't have Nexus in my state, so I'm not paying sales tax. I'm showing up and I'm doing this. They were super cool. They're like, yeah, dude, come on out. Like we got what you want.
Cool.
Just come. And I was like, okay, cool.
They know.
And they know, right? But that doesn't happen. Like if it's an average Joe off the street, and he's like, all right, well, we got the title and dock fee and assembly fee and the maintenance fee, and
sure.
you know. And by the end of it, with tax, you're walking out of there $8,000.
Too much.
Yeah. So anyways, we're going to cut this one off. Nate's falling asleep on us. My daughter is being very good here in the corner. Thank you very much, Remington Ray. I much appreciate that. Great conversation, great topic, great time. I appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, leave them wherever you are listening or hearing, and we will see you guys on the next one. And I don't know what the next one's going to be, but we'll get it sorted out in every 2 weeks.